Chapter 4. How the divine decrees are classified according to instance, and what God in each determined to communicate ad extra. I understood that this order comprises the following instants. The first instant is God recognizing his infinite attributes and perfections, together with the propensity and the ineffable inclination to communicate himself outwardly. This knowledge of God as being communicative ad extra comes first. The majesty of God, beholding the nature of his infinite perfections, their virtue and efficacy operating with magnificence, saw that it was just and most proper and, as it were, a duty and a necessity to communicate himself, and to follow that inclination of imparting and exercising his liberality and mercy by distributing outside of himself with magnificence the plenitude of the infinite treasures contained in the divinity. For, being infinite in all things, it is much more natural that he communicate gifts and graces than that fire should ascend, or the stone should gravitate toward its center, or that the sun should diffuse its light. This unfathomable depth of perfections, this affluence of treasures, this impetuous infinity of riches, is set in motion by its own inclinations to communicate itself. At the same time, God is in himself conscious that to distribute gifts and graces is not to diminish his riches, but to increase them in the only possible way, by giving an outlet to the inexhaustible fountain of his riches. All this did God see in the first instant after the communication ad intra by means of the eternal emanations. Seeing this, he found himself, as it were, obliged in himself to communicate himself ad extra, perceiving that it was wholly just, merciful, and godlike to do so, hence nothing could impede him. According to our mode of understanding, we can represent God to our minds as not being satisfied nor at rest with himself until he reach the object of his desires, the creatures, where and with whom, by making them partakers of his divinity and perfections, he seeks his delight. In this enlightenment and knowledge which I possess, two things hold my lukewarm heart in wonder and inflame it unto annihilation. The first is the inclination and urgent desire which I see in God, and the strong will to communicate his divinity and the treasures of his graces. The second is the unspeakable and incomprehensible immensity of the good gifts which I see he wishes to distribute according to this decree, assigning them for this purpose, and yet remaining infinite as if he had yet given nothing. In this desire and inclination which fills his majesty, I see him prepared to sanctify, justify, overwhelm with gifts and perfections all creatures together, and each one in particular for itself. He would be ready to give to each of the creatures more than what is held by all the angels and seraphim together. Even if all the drops in the ocean and the grains of sand on their shores, all the stars, the planets, and the elements, and all creatures were capable of reason and of his gifts, they would receive them without measure, provided they would dispose themselves and place no obstacle toward receiving them. O fearful malice of sin, which alone is capable of holding up the impetuous stream of such great and eternal gifts. The second instant was to confirm and determine the object and intention of this communication of the divinity ad extra, namely, that it should redound to his greater glory and to the exaltation of his majesty and the manifestation of his greatness. This his own exaltation God saw as the end for which he would communicate himself, make himself known by his liberality in the distribution of his attributes, and set in motion his omnipotence, in order that he might be known, praised, and glorified.